Outer Range has been a hit following its first season, but some viewers of the show are beginning to point out some less than subtle comparisons from another hit show that might be seen as stealing. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down the potentially plagiarized material and see if Outer Range and this mystery show actually are carbon copies of each other, or if fans are taking things too far. Stay tuned. First up, where are these inspirations being taken from? For those of you who have gotten around to watching Outer Range, you would know that it is a brilliant take on the American Western genre that uses a great deal of classic Western tropes on its mission to tell a compelling narrative. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that there is another hit TV show on right now that is also set in the American West that pioneered a plot that is awfully familiar to the one being used in Outer Range. The show we are referring to is obviously Yellowstone, and as most of you know, Yellowstone is incredibly popular and has done a great job of being unique and original. So it wasn't hard for fans of both shows to see the similarities between the two shows. While the creator of Outer Range, Brian Watkins, has oftentimes compared his show to titles that are less directly comparable, like projects created by Steven Spielberg and Raymond Carver. Yes, I'm serious. It is very obvious that Watkins has taken at least a little bit of inspiration from Yellowstone. And before you ask, yes, we have examples. For starters, both shows follow a strong patriarchy that is determined to keep their family-owned land in the family despite it being much easier to lose the land. Both shows have families that are incredibly similar. The missing mother, the troubled preteen, the actual same actor that portrays a loud, evil father figure. So as you can see, the shows have a seemingly endless supply of similarities that make you think that Outer Range is shamelessly stealing from Yellowstone. Next up, the most obvious example of plagiarism in the entire show is one that will make you think that this entire genre is a joke. If for some reason you still don't believe that these shows are essentially the same show on different networks, let me hit you with the biggest load of truth you have ever had dumped upon you in one sitting. While it is comical that both shows have actor Will Patton play seemingly the same character in both shows, it actually is still only the second most direct comparison in the show. Both shows have a blonde-hair hipster that decides to camp out on the land owned by the family the show centers around. Not only that, but both of these characters are from big western cities, which makes them wildly different than the other characters on the show, which of course makes for some great character development between both the blonde-haired dreamer and the blue-collared family man. But this next part is going to make you laugh really hard. Imagine that not only both shows have a character that is essentially the same, but in Yellowstone, the blonde-haired character is from Portland and named Summer, and the blonde-haired character in Outer Range is named Autumn, and she's from Boulder. Are you kidding me? How stupid can this get? I mean, I am all for shows having similarities and even having direct Easter eggs for fans of both shows to find, but is this actually a joke? I couldn't believe it when I heard it at first, but they have characters that are both named after seasons of the year, and I can't handle it. I mean, this actually gives Jamie Sheridan, the creator of Yellowstone, the right to pull the plagiarism card if you ask me. I mean, that is just so blatant. At that point, you aren't even trying to hide the fact that you basically made a show that is almost exactly the same as the most popular show on TV. You named a character that serves the same purpose as a character in another competing show that is named Summer, Autumn. I mean, come on. Honestly, one of the laziest things I have ever seen on TV, and just such a blatant ripoff of a character from another show. I'm not sure if Taylor Sheridan is mad about this or even has this show on his radar, since he is being so wildly successful right now, but this incident is so clear that I'm sure someone has informed him. Despite the clear instances of plagiarism, the shows are pretty different at times. I know I have spent the vast majority of this video complaining about how similar these shows are and how terrible of a job Outer Range has done in terms of hiding the fact that this show is very similar to Yellowstone, but trust me, these shows do have some very different takes on the same place. While they do both take place in the American West and depict families struggling to keep their land safely in their possession, despite the constant threats against the land, the shows still find a way to be different where it counts. Yes, a great deal of the characters are similar, and the main plot does share some similarities, but I don't recall anyone being taken in by the ether in Yellowstone, where of course that is the main plot point in Outer Range. Not only that, but Yellowstone often celebrates the fact that John Dutton is so set on remaining in the past and is dead set on remaining in the ways that his ancestors did. He literally tells people that he is the opposite of progress and is very willing to die for what he believes in. The show often tells the story of how the remainder of Montana is modernizing and becoming less and less Western, and John Dutton would rather die than see his ranch suffer the same fate. John Dutton is the type of person who believes things were better back when things were simple and cut and dry. John misses the days when people worked hard to earn a living and people were respected on the ground of who they were and not what they had. John is the perfect depiction of people who have grown up in the American West and would like to keep it that way until they are dead and buried. Outer Range, on the other hand, is much different. Outer Range shows a child who has massively screwed up and is granted a wish that most of us have asked for at least once in our lives: divine intervention that allows us to literally disappear from our problems. Outer Range offers a very different look at the American West. Outer Range follows Royal, a child that accidentally murders his father in a tragic hunting accident back in 1886. He is terrified of what will come to him if he confesses to his mother and sister, so instead he runs away. While he is on the lam, he stumbles upon a time hole that he jumps into, sending him immediately to the year 1967. He is now in a much different American West that is significantly more modern than the one that he left. Royal then ends up wandering onto the Abbott Ranch and becomes officially adopted by the Abbott family and eventually marries into it, officially becoming the patriarchy of the Abbott land. Royal then ends up losing his wife to the same time hole that sucked him to 1967, and he is now faced with a journey to get his wife back from an uncertain time. Outer Range takes a less convincing but interesting look at the American West through the lens of a time traveler who is used to a very difficult life. Obviously, Royal has lived through the difficult times, and he is mostly grateful to see what progress has done to the place he grew up in. And I mean, how could he not? Imagine being able to skip over all of the change and all of the things that stood in the way of progress and just instantly be in the time in which progress has fully taken over and things are significantly easier than they were before. How would you not like that better? Royal has to adjust to his different landscape, but it is clear to him that it is much better than the one he left. And even though he literally has the opportunity to go back to the place he originally is from and is essentially forced to go there if he ever wants to see his wife again, he knows what good can come from progress and how much worse life is back in the 1800s, that it allows for the viewer to stop looking back on how great things used to be and makes the viewer think about how we can make what is to come as good as those times. It is much different from Yellowstone, which is good because I think the show would be canceled if it took the same plot and the same theme from Yellowstone too, along with the characters and actors too. That's all we have for you guys on the channel today. Thank you all so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video and we'll see you in the next one.